Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Hawks Learning and Growing webinar series. Our webinar today is going to focus on strategies for fostering an inclusive psychology curriculum. I am Talissa Nahas. I'm so excited to be here with you today. If a question pops up during the presentation, please put it in the Q&A section, and I will address as many as I can at the end. If I do not get to your question, I would be happy to reach back out via email. At the end of this presentation, I will put a link to a quick survey for you to fill out and receive your $10 Amazon gift card for attending today. Okay, so we're going to review our agenda. First, I'm just going to do a little welcome, introduce myself, share some contact information. And next, we're going to focus on what is DEI. We're going to define it, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're going to talk about the importance of DEI in a psychology classroom. And once we have a background about DEI, we're going to talk about some inclusive teaching activities that can be used in your classroom. And at the end, we're going to dive into our new Introduction to Psychology second edition and review practical methods for enhancing DEI using Hawks teaching materials. Again, welcome. My name is Talissa Nahas. I am a product lead for psychology here at Hawks Learning. I put an email on the screen, psychology@hawkslearning.com. If you would like to reach out or have any questions, I would love to hear from you. And once again, if you have any questions pop up during this webinar, you can put it in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. Okay. So first, we are going to do a poll. Let me pop it up for you. Let me just double check that this is the poll. So it says, on a scale of 1 to 5, how confident do you feel in your knowledge and understanding of diversity, equity, and inclusion principles as they apply to the psychology classroom? I'm trying to just pull up that poll for you real quick. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm not seeing it, but what you can do is put it in the Q&A for me. That's perfect. Somebody did, they put a 4. And if you could just pop in there for me, 1, not confident at all, 2, somewhat confident, 3, moderately confident, 4, very confident, or 5, extremely confident. And I'm just going to look at these answers popping in. Again, the question is, on a scale of 1 to 5, how confident do you feel in your knowledge and understanding of diversity, equity, and inclusion principles as they apply to psychology classroom? Okay, I'll give you another minute. I'm getting some good responses, a lot of 4s, which is great, very confident. Let's see. Some 3s, some 2s. Amazing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive in. A lot of you are saying you feel very confident. Some are somewhat confident. So we're going to dive in, just quick review what DEI is, what it stands for, and then talk about how we can apply it to your psychology classroom and how we at Hawks designed our Introduction to Psychology second edition with DEI in mind. Okay, so what is DEI? DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity refers to the wide range of characteristics and identities that make each person unique. Equity focuses on ensuring fairness and justice by addressing systemic barriers that prevent all individuals from having access to opportunities and resources. And you might have heard about that analogy with the boxes and the fence. They have a fence and there's somebody who's really tall and they can see right over the fence. And they don't need to stand on any boxes. And then somebody who's, medium height, maybe a little bit shorter, is standing on one box to look over the fence. And then somebody else who's a little bit shorter is standing on two boxes to look over the fence, right? So we're just trying to, and in that sense, equity means giving students, giving people different things that they need to help them to succeed, meeting them where they are, as students in our classroom, as people in the world. And then inclusion involves creating an environment where all individuals feel valued and respected and supported. And so we really want to focus on teaching the whole student. And so, why is DEI important in the psychology classroom? And it's crucial in the psychology classroom because it exposes students to different perspectives, helps foster a deeper understanding of human behavior, promoting inclusivity. And we just want to create this environment where all of our students feel valued, they feel respected, they feel supported in their learning journey. Because if they feel that way, they're going to be more engaged in their own learning journey. And so we want to promote understanding. It helps promoting understanding, giving students exposure to diverse backgrounds, fostering deeper understanding of human behavior, mental processes, creates inclusive spaces. So DEI helps to create inclusive spaces where students feel valued and respected and willing to engage and participate in discussions and activities. It helps address systemic inequities, so dismantle these barriers that may hinder academic success. It helps prepare students for a diverse world. We're in an increasingly diverse society, and we need to all be prepared to work effectively with individuals from varied backgrounds, especially for these students and maybe their possible future careers as psychologists or therapists, researchers, educators. It helps to reduce bias and stereotypes and promoting greater empathy and understanding among students, which is huge. And DEI helps to encourage innovation and creativity because of this embracing of diversity and exposing students to different ways of thinking and problem solving. And it can lead to novel insights and approaches in the field. And now the main point, right? What are some inclusive teaching strategies? And we're going to talk about them, focusing on teaching the whole student. And I'm going to just give some examples of how, for each one of these, how we do it here at Hawks and what we were thinking of when we designed this Introduction to Psychology second edition. And a lot of this, maybe you probably do tons of this in your classroom already, but we just want to give some pointed examples and just have the discussion. So the first inclusive teaching strategy I have up there is diverse content, which is kind of easy to do in psychology because it lends itself, right, to diverse perspectives, different authors, tons of case studies, which are probably common in your classrooms, and puts all this into the curriculum. And so what we did for this second edition is we focused on updating research, data, statistics in every chapter. We wanted to reflect the current climate. We wanted students to be reading about examples of things that they've maybe seen in the last few years, make it really relevant to them, and so that they can feel personally connected to the material. And so some of our examples include updated content with COVID-19, remote work, telehealth, gender, sex, and sexuality, stress, lifestyle and health, and industrial and organizational psychology. And then for multimodal instruction, this inclusive teaching strategy talks about not just lecturing, which I'm sure many of us as educators, former educator myself, we do discussion, we do lecture. Maybe you put some videos up or maybe some hands-on learning activities. And sometimes in other courses, those are easier. If it's a lab science class, it might be easier to have these hands-on learning activities. And maybe our brains don't automatically go there for psychology, but there's plenty of ways to include multimodal instruction in the psychology classroom. So one way here at Hawks is what we do is in our text and in our learn screens, which I'm going to show you later. We have a lot of these engagement boxes, and they are amazing, awesome engagement boxes kind of sprinkled throughout the textbook or the learn screens that help teachers either plan group work, plan class projects. Students can read these questions or helpful hints, real life connections to real world, and some case studies. And something that we heard a lot from our focus groups with psychology professors is that reflection papers are such a big deal and a big thing. And we have these great reflection questions that can be used for reflection papers and get students thinking on a deeper level. Also, we have lesson level videos, which kind of goes along with multimodal instruction because it is the lesson kind of in an audio visual format where maybe I don't learn best reading from a textbook. Maybe I learn best watching a short slideshow of it, listening to somebody tell me the material. So we addressing all learners, it's creating that equity. Active learning, right? So becoming active in their learning in terms of debates and case studies, role-playing collaborative projects, like using chapter projects. For example, one we have, it has them actively test their memory and evaluate their memory over a week span and what part of the brain was responsible for that memory. So it kind of puts students, active learning is putting students into their learning. And flexible assessments, excuse me. Offering a variety of assessment methods, right? Which I'm sure we do lots of essays, lots of exams, different things, presentations. But the point of this is we want to just be like aware that we want to meet students where they are. Okay, so we want to be able to give them like something that we have at Hawks, multiple attempts in a practice mode. So they can achieve mastery in a low stakes environment where they can, try questions over and over again, get help in a tutor section with a hint or error specific feedback to help them learn. And then four more, the last four, I promise, culturally relevant pedagogy. Okay, so we want to make sure that we are incorporating culturally relevant examples, analogies, metaphors that resonate with these students from diverse backgrounds. Examples that have happened recently that maybe they've experienced, they've seen on the news, they've seen on social media, they've been exposed to. Okay, and then they're reading a chapter in a textbook like, oh, I remember that. I just saw that. I saw that on TV, I saw that wherever. And it helps them connect to material more. It helps reach students that learn that way and want to experience different things. Collaborative learning communities. That inclusive teaching strategy focuses on cross-cultural communication, teamwork skills, mutual respect, right, which can be achieved through group activities, through our engagement boxes, through like working together on a chapter project, research-based project, things like that. Accessibility. Accessibility. To ensure course materials, lectures, activities are accessible to all students with diverse needs, including those with disabilities, with language barriers, or different learning preferences. So that's not just saying, like, we do have these amazing 86 lesson level videos that are those screenshots of the videos of the lesson, like quickly in audio visual format. Those are accessible, right? We want to provide all students an engaging learning environment and understand that all students have different needs. So we strive to make our product as flexible as possible. But also in terms of accessibility, just even different learning preferences. In those videos, maybe I prefer to learn, like I said earlier, in an audio visual format where something is playing for me rather than just reading the textbook. And then feedback and support. Providing constructive feedback and support to students from diverse backgrounds, we want to recognize and address barriers that they may face in the learning process. And something that I think is important in general, but that we do at Hawks as well, is that when they are answering questions in practice mode and they're clicking through, trying to practice and learn this material, and they click a wrong answer, they get error specific feedback that is tailored to the question, the answer that they clicked, which was incorrect. And then they can go for a hint, they can go back into the learn screens and kind of revisit that material so they can learn it. So it's important to provide that feedback, provide that support for these students as an inclusive teaching strategy. And so what we're going to do now is we are going to just take a little tour, so to speak, of the Introduction to Psychology second edition. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, and then I'm going to show you the software. And I am by no means a sales rep, so bear with me. I'm going to do my best. I'm the content person here. But we have these changes that we've made to this second edition with DEI in mind, with DEI teaching strategies in mind. We have a new chapter 10 called Gender, Sex, and Sexuality. We have a new appendix, the basics of APA style. We have an enhanced question bank with an emphasis on scenario-based questions, application questions, those lesson level videos that focus on the lesson in a quick view of the lesson in an audio-visual format. As I said earlier, we have updated research data and statistics throughout every chapter, and we updated it to align with DSM-5 TR September 2022. And super important, I think, especially in this webinar, but in general, we updated inclusive and accessible language in all areas. So these are just some things that we did with DEI in mind as we were creating our Introduction to Psychology second edition textbook. And I'm really excited to show it to you. But again, like I said, not salesy. So bear with me. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. If you have a question, I see if you're raising your hand and you have a question, I would love for you to just put it in the chat. I mean, in the question and answer, that way I can see it come up. And that would be great. I'll give you a minute to type that question if you wanted to type one. I'm not sure. All right. Here we go. Okay, so what I am going to do is I am going to take you through one of our lessons in our second edition. Okay, and as you can see, what pops up on your screen, and remember, we're thinking diversity, equity, and inclusion, meeting students where they are, diverse content, multimodal instruction, active learning, flexible assessments, culturally relevant pedagogy, collaborative learning experiences, accessibility, feedback, and support. Yes, okay, perfect. I need to make this larger. Somebody said they can't see it that well. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to zoom in and let's hopefully this makes it better. Thank you for saying that. How is that? You can type it in the Q&A if you can see it better there. Or you can raise your hand. Perfect. All right, awesome. Like I said, I'm not the best at this part, but I'm going to do my best. Oh, I see a little thumbs up. Okay, perfect. Okay, so here we go. All right, so as you can see here, we're remembering all those things. We're remembering DEI or meeting students where they are. We have this three-step learning path here at Hawks. So we have learn and practice, these two right here. They are designed to prepare students for certify, which is the homework mode. And so we're going to hop into learn. Again, I'm in 10.3, lesson 10.3, gender, sex, and sexuality. And 10.3 is sexuality, but for chapter 10. And I'm going to click start. So these students see, and it's going to load. Okay, see these learn screens. And basically what happens is this is the textbook, but like in bite-sized pieces and manageable pieces, right? So we want to make sure that it's not overwhelming to students. And super important here is that this is all the content from the textbook that the student needs. And we can see an example of a multimodal learning right off the bat. The verified Quizlet set. So every lesson has this verified Quizlet set. And students can click through and practice the vocabulary for that lesson. So that's a great way to not only do multimodal learning, but active learning. Okay. Next, what I'm going to show you is, I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to slide through, just going through our learn screens. Oops, there you go. Is a further resource. We have these further resource boxes that pop up. And what I'm thinking of here when I see this is usually a link to a video or an article, but it brings the student out of the lesson into another area, which is an example of multimodal learning. So they're going to go watch a video or they're going to read a case study or something like that, kind of giving more options than just the textbook. And also you can see as I flip through, let me see if I can go back to one where there's good. We updated research throughout. So it's moving forward with our research, not super outdated references. And important too is just the great graphics, right? We're talking about addressing all learners, being able to see these tables or visuals. We updated all of those in the textbook so that it's captivating and they want to read it. And we followed APA guidelines as well. And I really want to show you an on your own activity, which is a great example of, I'm getting to it. There's a reflection question. We're going to come back to those because I love them. Oh, where did it go? So we have these on your own activities. I'm going to get to it. Sorry if you get dizzy while I'm clicking through. And in these on your own activities, students can actually type the answers into, there we go. Students can actually type the answers right into the screen. Another way of active learning, multimodal learning, you know, flexible assessment. They can work together, make it collaborative, and they can actually type the answers right into the Learn screen for these on your own activities. Now this one is fill in. There's other ones that are checkbox. There's all different kinds. There's type out answers like fill open-ended, and you would just type in on the screen as practice when you're a student if you're practicing. Okay, and the last thing that I love, personally love, just because of all of the feedback we frequently get about reflection papers and case studies, reflection papers and case studies, is that the reflection question section, it's right at the end. I don't know why it kicked me out. I probably was clicking too quickly. And if you do reflection papers in your classroom, which I'm sure a lot of you probably do, you might have to come up with your own, prompts. And a lot of us like to do that anyway. As a former educator, we come up with our own prompts all the time. But what I was thinking is sometimes maybe I was, I didn't come up with a prompt or something happened or I wanted to change the prompt or the class discussion went another way. And I'm like, you know what? I want to ask them something about that for this reflection paper instead. We have these great reflection question boxes, which they're all through the textbook. They are all on varied topics, but they're great starting points for a reflection paper. I just wanted to show you that. The next thing I'm just going to show you is we're talking about assessments and feedback and meeting students where they are and equity. That is this, thank you. I see the heart. That is this practice mode. Okay, so in practice, students are provided with algorithmically generated questions, meaning there are multiple versions of each question, many iterations. In this mode, students have access to learning aids for each question, so they become confident in the material. So this is important in meeting students where they are, giving them the tools that they need to be successful. And that way they take ownership of their learning journeys. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna click into here and I'm gonna go to a question for you. I'm gonna go to one that right here. Okay, and so what happens is we have these questions and at the bottom there's a tutor button as well. And a student can come in and we have multiple choice. We have checkbox questions, we have click to select questions. So variety of questions is also important, right? In terms of flexible assessments. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click an answer that I know is incorrect so that we can see what happens when I click the wrong answer. So I'm a student, I click the wrong answer. Oh no. Okay, your answer is incorrect. So you can try again and we'll give you a different version. We'll give you the same version, but you can try to click a different question. Or we're going to click explain error first. So we could see how this shows up for the student. You were asked to determine what category. It restates the question for them. Your answer is incorrect. Okay, therefore, it tells them why. It gives them error-specific feedback. And they're like, I still don't get it. You know what? I still don't know why I did that. So I'm going to go for a hint. They can click a hint. That will give them a hint to lead them to the answer. Maybe it's an application question that's really tricky for them, a little different than this one, and they want to go back to the Learn screen. Okay, so these students are getting to click through, go back. Maybe I want to review vocabulary real quick. Maybe I'm like, oh, maybe it's in the vocabulary. Maybe the answer is there. They can go back to their Quizlet set. So there's so many options in here. Or they can just click the solution. And this is still in the practice mode. So it's not that homework mode where they would be trying to achieve mastery. And it gives them the answer and explains why. me click back right here. Where's my, okay. Now, this is what I was saying before. Try similar. I zoomed in too much. I couldn't see on my screen. Try similar. So I'm going to try another option for this question because I got it wrong, but there's another iteration that's similar. And so it gives them another question, another option for that question. So because the questions are algorithmically generated, it also means that they have an extensive set of practice questions that they can work through. Again, flexible assessment, important to keep in mind. Okay, if you're creating your own test, it would be difficult, right? Sometimes I know for me, I wouldn't be making like 20 versions of one question for one test. But it is beneficial when you're practicing this way with this courseware that they have all of these options. So click try similar and see a different version of the question. And then certify, this was the practice mode, and certify, which is what you could see in this screen right over here. The certify is the homework area where students are receiving grades for their assignment, which looks very similar to practice. And just like practice, the questions are algorithmically generated, but there's differences here that make it more of an assessment. And so they have the flexible assessment, the flexibility in the assessments and like the different iterations, same thing, but there's no tutor, there's no homework help here, like there's no learning aid. So students, we're getting to this point, we want them to understand the content on their own without help so that they'll be prepared for upcoming tests and things like that. And the thing is here, I wanted to show you right here, it says mastery 80%. You might be saying, I don't know, what does that even mean? So we make the assignment mastery based. Okay, so the mastery level is 80% by default. And what happens is, as the student's going through, if they start getting content wrong, there's like a heart with like, it's almost like 3 chances or whatever. If they are getting questions wrong and wrong and wrong, and they're getting over 20% wrong, it goes into adaptive remediation. Again, meeting students where they are, equity, right? Trying to help them on their learning journey. And so we take them away from certify and put them back into practice. And then they are giving questions based on what they missed, and then they start practicing again and can go back and relearn the material or get help on the material. Maybe use the Quizlet set again. Maybe watch the lesson level video again. Maybe answer some of the practice on your own questions, things like that. Okay. So in the end, we just want to make sure that students understand this content on their own because that will prepare them for tests, future classes. We want to make sure that it's accessible to all students and that we're creating this content with diversity, equity, and inclusion in mind for this 2E, for the second edition for us. And now what I will do is open it up for questions. You can type those into the Q&A if you have any questions for me. And let's see. First question. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm going to answer this question live. Good question. They're all great questions. Oh, if you are having trouble, I know chat is disabled. I see something that popped in. You can type in the Q&A. If you're not sure where that is, if you look at the bottom of your screen and hover down, the Zoom bar will pop up. That Zoom bar says Q&A. You can click that and type your question in, and it comes in here. That way, all the questions kind of get populated in one area for me, and I can either type back to you or I can answer them. So one of the questions that came through is, are test banks aligned with the new chapters? I've noticed with other vendors that they tend to forget to update the test banks. And yes, that's actually a really important thing. And yes, we do. We have made so many updates to our question bank recently. We actually added some enhanced questions because some of our questions had 3 answer choices. We enhanced them to 4 answer choices to make sure they align with the chapters. Maybe had to shuffle some questions around a little bit if the chapter moved, or maybe we moved some of that content, especially because we created that whole new chapter. But that is actually a great question and a great point to bring up, to making sure that the questions that these students are receiving are aligned to new chapters. Oh, mic muted. Where to, oh, sorry. Somebody said where to answer the diversity question. Um, oh, if you wanted to answer the diversity question, sorry, and I didn't see or hear you, you can type it right in the Q&A. But that's okay if you didn't get to answer it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, let me see. Oh, somebody said very interesting information. Well, thank you. Again, yeah, just bringing it back to, I'm just going to answer this question right here. Just bringing it back to like our second edition. The question was about just, I showed you like some of the content in the learn screens. I showed you some of the content in practice and certify and on those questions. And specifically with our second edition, we really just try to keep DEI in mind. And so we created all of that updated new content. We made sure to update the data, update the references, update all of those things so that students have access to that learning, that type of learning. One of the questions is about time per week and how long such as time per week, which this is a great question. Do students report using the practice and or content sections? I think that answer is going to vary, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure to take that note, and I kind of want to get more feedback on that from our instructors, our current instructors, so that I can see how many minutes because I know it would probably vary per lesson. But I'm definitely going to reach back out and share once I find out how much time students report using them per week. Let me see if there's any more questions. I think that the average right now is about 30 minutes per lesson in the learn screen. So that is where I took you before. Over here, let me see, where did it go? Oh, sorry. Right here. So it's about 30 minutes right here in a learn screen. I think you can still see my screen up there. Per lesson in learn. So I hope that answers. And these are the learn screens again, just in case. The reflection questions, the engagement boxes, really, really great quality. Anything else that anybody wants to share or ask? Before we go forward. Okay, you can keep popping questions in there. Oh, I was about to say bye-bye, and then somebody's popping question. Oh, somebody said there's a question earlier. Let me see. I will scroll back up and check your questions. If I did not get to your question, I will make sure to reach back out to you and personally answer them. I'm not seeing the question, but I will definitely check that. Okay, so that's going to wrap us up for today. I really want to thank you for attending, for bearing with me. And I'm going to post the link to a quick survey to fill out in order to receive your Amazon gift card, your $10 Amazon gift card. So there's going to be a link to the survey in the chat. And also there's going to be a link to our mini site. I see your hands. I'll answer you in 1 second. I'm going to paste this in the chat. And then that way you can fill it out to get your gift card. I want to make sure that you see it. Let's make sure. So you should see it in the chat. Nope, maybe not. To everyone. Let's see. Give me a thumbs up if you see it in the chat. I want to make sure you can fill out your survey for the gift card. Perfect. Okay. So you can fill out that survey for the $10 Amazon gift card. And if you want to learn more about our mastery-based psychology courseware, you can visit our mini site right there. Still going to pop into Q&A right now. anything's coming up. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and thank you for being here with me. I appreciate you.